Well, thank you, Reverend Hornsby. I appreciate the words that you just briefly spoke, and I just want to say that one thing that you can always count on me about is common sense, and to support Pastor and President and Dr. Mayor Michael Evans is just pure common sense, folks. I'll stand up for Michael Evans and what he stands for any day of the week. You can take that to the bank. One thing we learned from 2021, you can all agree with me, is that we sometimes have to do things a little differently. And that's what we're doing here today. But I agree with Pastor Evans and Reverend Hornsby and the entire leadership here at Bethlehem that it's important that we honor the work of Dr. Martin Luther King. And it's important that even if we have to do it a little differently, that we do it. Pastor Evans promised me that if I was here this morning as part of the celebration, that Reverend Hornsby would be the substitute dancer and singer down here in front of everybody. So Reverend Hornsby, before I do this, are you ready? Or? Maybe we shouldn't do things quite that differently, right? Can I get an amen? But in all seriousness, it's my honor, my privilege to be here with you this morning and to make it a part of this service. We can't have the community event this evening, but we need to make an effort. We need to make that commitment to honor his legacy. And it's my privilege, again, as a local member of this community, to make this presentation. Whereas members of Bethlehem Baptist Church in Mansfield are gathering on January 16th, 2022 to celebrate the inspiring legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. And whereas Martin Luther King's dedication to peaceful protest had a profound impact on the nation's civil rights movement. In the mid-1950s, he was chosen to lead the historic 380-day bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, placing him at the forefront of the struggle for racial equality in the United States. And whereas along with other activists of the day, Dr. King founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957 and served as its president for the remainder of his life. Under his able leadership, the organization played a key role in many of the pivotal civil rights events of the 1960s, including the Birmingham Campaign of 1963, the March on Washington, where Dr. King delivered his I Have a Dream address, and the demonstrations in Selma, Alabama in 1965. And whereas Dr. King was named Man of the Year by Time magazine in 1963, and he became the youngest person ever awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, his influence has continued to resonate with subsequent generations, and in 1983, the U.S. Congress enacted a federal holiday commemorating his birthday, whereas we now know that we celebrate on the third Monday of January each year. And whereas over the years, the Bethlehem Baptist Church Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration has featured distinguished keynote speakers and musical performances by the likes of Reverend Hornsby and by this church's choir. The event is currently led by Reverend Dr. Michael A. Evans, Sr., who has served as the church's pastor for more than 3 decades. Can I get an amen on that? And whereas the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration hosted by Bethlehem Baptist Church promotes Dr. King's vision of a society in which all Americans may enjoy peace, prosperity, and equality, and the church's members and clergy are indeed deserving of special recognition for their efforts, and now therefore it be resolved that the Bethlehem Baptist Church Dr. Martin Luther King Day celebration be commemorated, and that the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Evans, Sr. be honored for his leadership in hosting this important event. So if you would please stand in unity and in support of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.